Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin, the podcast where we dive into the latest news and current events from around the world. I'm your host, Barbara, and I'm excited to share today's top stories with you. We're starting off with a developing story that's been making waves in the international community. Senators in the United States are gearing up for a vote that could potentially prevent President Trump from unilaterally declaring war on Venezuela without approval from Congress. This move comes amid a series of U.S. military strikes in the Caribbean and plans for covert operations in Venezuela, which have raised concerns about the possibility of imminent war. According to reports, Senator Tim Kaine, a Democrat from Virginia, is leading a bipartisan effort to force a vote on a resolution that would limit President Trump's war powers in the region. Kaine is being joined by Senators Adam Schiff, a Democrat from California, and Rand Paul, a Republican from Kentucky, who are co-sponsoring the plan. The senators' concerns are centered around the lack of transparency and information from the administration about the military strikes and covert operations in Venezuela. They argue that Congress has a constitutional role in declaring war and that President Trump's actions may be overstepping his authority. This issue is complex, with multiple perspectives and interests at play. On one hand, the U.S. government has expressed concerns about drug smuggling and other illicit activities in the region, which they claim are being facilitated by the Venezuelan government. On the other hand, critics argue that the military strikes and covert operations may be a pretext for regime change, which could have far-reaching consequences for the people of Venezuela and the wider region. As we follow this story, it's essential to consider multiple sources and viewpoints to gain a deeper understanding of the issues at play. We'll continue to monitor developments and provide updates as more information becomes available. For now, it's clear that the situation is fluid, and the outcome of the Senate vote could have significant implications for U.S. foreign policy and international relations. We'll be keeping a close eye on this story and exploring its various facets in the days to come. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. We're diving into the second part of our program today, where we'll be discussing some significant developments in international relations. As you may know, the Middle East has been a hotbed of activity lately, with various countries navigating complex relationships and security concerns. Now, let's take a closer look at the story that's been making headlines: Saudi Arabia's potential defense deal with the United States. According to reports, the kingdom is seeking a standalone defense agreement with the U.S., which could either come through an agreement or an executive order. This development comes after President Donald Trump signed an executive order stating that Washington would respond to any attack on Qatar by taking all lawful and appropriate measures, including diplomatic, economic, and, if necessary, military. It's worth noting that Saudi Arabia has long sought a U.S. defense pact, but negotiations were previously upended by Hamas's October 7, 2023, attack and the war in Gaza. Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the Saudi crown prince, has made it clear that the kingdom would only normalize relations with Israel if a Palestinian state were established, something Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vehemently opposes. Analysts say that the Trump administration's desire to see Saudi Arabia normalize diplomatic relations with Israel could be a sticking point in these negotiations. However, with Prince Mohammed pushing ahead with his trillion-dollar plans to develop the kingdom, enhancing security cooperation with the U.S. is seen as absolutely paramount. It's also important to consider the broader context of regional security concerns. The Israeli strike targeting Hamas's political leaders in Qatar, which hosts the U.S.'s biggest military base in the region, has rattled Gulf states. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia has signed a strategic mutual defense pact with nuclear-armed Pakistan, signaling to the U.S. and Israel that the kingdom is willing to diversify its security alliances. As we continue to monitor these developments, it's essential to remember that the Middle East is a complex and multifaceted region with various countries and interests at play. We'll be keeping a close eye on how this story unfolds and providing you with updates as more information becomes available. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. As we wrap up today's show, I'd like to bring your attention to a developing story in Bangladesh. The country has been making headlines lately due to the ongoing trial of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who is facing charges of crimes against humanity. Now, let's take a closer look at the situation. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for Hasina, alleging that she ordered security forces to use lethal weapons against student-led protests last year, resulting in the deaths of up to 1,400 people. Hasina has denied these charges and is currently in exile in India. It's essential to note that this is a complex issue with multiple perspectives. While some argue that Hasina's actions were a desperate attempt to cling to power, others see her as a pro-democracy icon who was forced to take drastic measures to maintain order. As the trial continues, Bangladesh is preparing for its next elections in February. The country's largest opposition party, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, is expected to be a frontrunner in the vote. However, Hasina's party, the Awami League, has been banned from participating in the elections. It's crucial to remember that this is an ongoing story, and we will continue to monitor developments and provide updates as more information becomes available. As always, we strive to present a balanced view of the situation, acknowledging the complexities and nuances involved. In conclusion, the situation in Bangladesh serves as a reminder of the importance of understanding different perspectives and the need for fair and impartial reporting. We will keep a close eye on this story and provide updates as necessary. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay engaged.